Welcome back to the stage of history. Oof! Well, there's probably the reason why I shouldn't play on these tiny little screens. This is the Miyoo A30. Finally, another Miyoo device. Now, if you caught the Miyoo Mini Plus review already on the channel, you already know this gem of a meme.
No, not me, you.
Yes, I am you.
Just answer the damn questions. Who are you?
I have told you.
And now that I've filled my meme quota for the day, let's talk about this tinier Miyoo. It sports a 2.8-inch display, and with these kinds of specs, who am I kidding? I'm not going to drone over them because it's a bunch of numbers and letters. What am I, a robot? But for the inputs, you get the standard ABXY, inline shoulder buttons, menu button, start select buttons, along with a USB-C charging port, volume rockers, and a welcome analog stick. I will say this though about the spec sheet. The 2.8-inch screen obviously looks very clean because of all those pixels, 640 by 480, jammed into this tiny little thing. You know what else is jammed into this tiny little thing? We can't talk about that here. So instead, let's do a quick little montage of some of the less micro handhelds that I have on hand to compare. And let's get right into what I like about this device. Right before I thank my friends over at GeekGoo for sending this device over to me for testing and review. As always, all opinions are my own, and nothing I've said today do they have any say over. So be sure to check out the links in the description if the A30 is what ends up floating your boat. Or pipes? Right off the bat, I'll say that the pocketability of this thing is pretty much unparalleled. It's small enough to fit in a breast pocket, after you move your pocket protector of course, and on top of that, you get this nice little protective case. If I'm not mistaken, this is a standard offering from Miyoo, and so that's a nice bonus to have. That way you don't even have to worry about where to put the charge cable. Next, I'll say that the joystick I mentioned comes in clutch for titles and systems that support it. It is something that the Mini Plus was missing, and while I don't personally consider it a deal breaker not having it, it's generally not bad to have more input options in my opinion. And speaking of inputs, the buttons themselves are quite comfortable. As you can see, they're a bit larger than those even on my RG35XXH. Same goes for the D-pad and the stick, which looks to be about the same size as a Switch analog stick. I'm not exactly sure though because Nintendo took away my Switch when I told them I wasn't going to buy a Switch 2. So yeah, props to Miyoo for including that. And then when it comes to build quality, it comes with this metal faceplate if I'm not mistaken, and that adds to the overall premium feel of this device, which it has no business doing. Although it does lack those soft pads on the back like the RG35XXH, which helps with my sensory issues. Of course, you didn't tune into another one of these reviews for the good stuff, so where are the complaints? If you've seen or heard any other reviews about this device, a common complaint is the screen brightness. Now, my unit didn't seem to have that issue as far as I can tell, so maybe this one I have here is not part of the initial batch and it's already been fixed, which is great because I like to test things for their out-of-the-box capabilities. But that does bring me to the OS. The stock OS is obviously not Onion, and to call it good would be generous. I mean, it loads up games and there is a search function and whatnot, but there are some little issues here that completely break the experience for me. An example is some of the themes that you can select, which are completely in Chinese, even when you're in the English menu. Which does suggest to me that this wasn't fully tested. On top of that, when I went into the PPSSPP settings, it was also all entirely in Chinese. Thankfully, that one you can change back to English pretty easily. But what about performance? Well, I'm happy to report that pretty much everything up to PS1 works pretty well, but then it falls pretty flat on its face after that. So for PSP, for example, I had to enable frame skipping, and even then I wasn't hitting the ideal 60 FPS. And while you could argue that it was kind of playable, it wasn't the best experience for sure. Given that this CPU in here is the more powerful one compared to the Miyoo Mini Plus, it seems like a bit of a waste. Especially when you hear that custom OSs like RA30 will make some of the more challenging platforms like PSP and N64 run much better. Once again, I like to do the out-of-the-box testing on the channel though, and I don't think people should be hoping for better improvements when that's not what they get right now. That and I don't fancy playing PSP titles with these black bars on an already small 2.8-inch screen. What the hell am I even looking at here? I probably need new glasses anyway. So let's get to the verdict. Who is this for and who should buy this thing? Before we get to that, let me just tell you about the sponsor of today's video. Definitely not UGREEN, but they were nice enough to send me this cool power bank, which is able to support 145 watts fast charging. Fast charging? Is that right? This thing is so sleek and smooth and even includes the charging cable and a nice carrying bag so that you don't scuff up anything else you throw into your bag or pocket. Know what else is awesome? The fact that it has 25,000 milliamp hours, or in real numbers, 90 watt hours, and this cool little display to tell you exactly how much juice is left in the pack. That way you know if you're all charged up and ready to hop on a plane. So yeah, make sure to check the links in the description to pick one up for yourself. The would-be Game Boy Micro I think is really for the novelty of these little candy bar style handhelds, so that you can just whip it out of your pocket and play for 15 to 30 minutes, maybe if you're waiting for a doctor or something. Personally, I'm being biased here because I wouldn't play for long gaming sessions on these tiny little screens. But that's just my opinion, and that's my take. These tiny little things just don't get my clocks up, but maybe they do for you, and that's absolutely fine. If there's anything else I missed, I would say it's that it has Wi-Fi, which is great for some retro co-op, but it is missing the HDMI out and Bluetooth, which means that it also can't be used for some big screen co-op gaming. So yeah, there it is. And if you fancy yourself a retro fanboy, don't forget to check the links in the description and also check out the other retro reviews on the channel. And as always, thanks for watching.
GG.